Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about making pinch pots. It's one of the most versatile things that you can create for all different sorts of ceramics projects. If you've never seen one before, here is a basic pinch pot. I have these two here, and the reason you can do so much with them is when you put those two halves together and actually enclose it, air is trapped inside, and then you can kind of hit it and shape it into many different things. So before I show you how to make one, I'm going to show you some pieces that were made with pinch pots. So this teapot, it's a little bit crazy, but it was made using two different sets of pinch pots. So this top, actually, I'm sorry, this was made with slab. When things are super angular, typically slab is a little bit easier to work with. But this bottom element here, even this flat top, was made with a pinch pot, and then it was shaped by paddling this top into a flat edge and then attached to the other elements. A couple others I'd like to show you. Okay, this heart, the human heart, this element down here is a pinch pot, and then lots of other elements were added onto it. So it's a way to create one building block that you could do a lot with. Two more. Here is a Zany Teapot. This one was made with two pinch pots here, two pinch pots here. You can see they were stretched and manipulated into these long forms and then attached together to create this teapot. And then the last one I'd like to share with you is this big, beautiful guy. So this is a sculpture, and the heads were made out of two giant pinch pots. So these parts were formed, and then you can press in to kind of create eye sockets to create all of the details. But two giant pinch pots right here, and then attached to some other elements down below. So the pinch pot can be changed into tons and tons of different shapes. To start with though, we're gonna talk about making just the basics, and then we'll talk about what we're doing with it. So I've wedged this clay already. You can see there's a little spiral. It shows that I've wedged it. When you're thinking about the size you want your piece to come out as, think of one solid piece of clay, and then you're gonna divide it in half, because our goal is that the two pinch pots become about the same size when they go together. If one was really big and one was really small, they wouldn't really fit. So I'm looking at this, and when I want to think about how big it's gonna turn out, think about all that clay on the inside being pinched out, so there'll be a big cavern of air on the inside. So a piece of clay this big is probably gonna make a piece that's just slightly bigger, maybe like, you can see it's just a little bit bigger here when I put it together. So first step, I'm gonna cut it in half. I know I wanna make two pinch pots, so I'm trying to keep it pretty consistent between the two. And then I'm gonna just pat it into a ball. So I'm hitting it with my hand in this curved fashion. I know I'm shaking the camera a little bit. And then once it's a ball, I can start making my pinch pot. After it's a ball, you're gonna take your thumb and you're gonna push it down on the inside. I'm trying to go straight down, but I don't wanna go through it. So my goal is to stop about a ½ inch from the bottom. So you can see there's my thumb hole that I've put down in. Feels like I'm about a ½ inch. If you're not sure, you can always stop a little bit early. Now I'm gonna do the pinching. Here's where people can make some mistakes. So I'm gonna start holding my pinch pot upside down. So here's my finished one. It's like this on my thumb. And I'm gonna start pinching at the top, and I'll rotate it around, and then I'll move my hand down and pinch on the sides more. The reason we wanna do this is if I pinch right on this top edge, then it's gonna get so large I'm not gonna be able to work down to the bottom. So I'm holding it upside down on my thumb. My hand that has the thumb on the inside is pinching, starting at the top. My other hand, in this case my left hand, is just rotating. My goal is to make the walls about a ½ inch. So I've gone around in a circle. You can see there's little pinching marks from my fingers. And now I can almost see this donut right up at the top. I'm gonna move into this layer now and start pinching. So same thing, thumb on the inside, pinch in a circle in that like medium layer. Once I get all the way around, I can stop and assess. Once again, you can see all those pinch marks. Now I have this thick donut right at the top. So I'm gonna do one more round of pinching. Just be mindful that you want the lip to stay a little bit thicker for when you attach it. So our goal was that the walls are ½ inch thick. I'm leaving this just a little bit more thick. If I made the walls super thin, think about when I attach that other pinch pot to it, it's not gonna attach very well. All right, and then the last thing, I'm just gonna check to make sure I don't have any thick parts. So you might need to go back and do another layer in some places just to make sure it's pretty thin. Okay, some common mistakes people make with this. Number one, they put their thumb in and then they hold it on the table and start pinching. The negative that comes from this is that the bottom becomes very, very flat. You don't have this rounded shape that's easy to contort and change into a lot of things. So you wanna hold it on your thumb upside down as you're pinching. We don't want the flat bottom. Number two, along the way, people switch from having their thumb on the inside to putting their fingers on the inside. And what ends up happening is it gets very, very wide, okay? We wanna have the form kind of stay in that circular way. Sometimes you do wanna make a wider pinch pot, but a lot of times this will be too wide and it'll kind of collapse. The third one, people will just pinch too much and then the structure of it becomes way too wobbly. And then the last part, and this is the one that happens, I'd say the most often, people overwork their pinch pots. If you remember this, I probably worked on for a minute total. If you're working on yours for 5, 8 minutes, it's going to get dry, it's going to start cracking, and you've probably worked it too hard. So be really confident in just pinching what you need. This is obviously not a gorgeous piece. It's pretty simple, but remember that as it gets harder, you can do a lot to change it, to clean up the shape. I even have like cracks on it. Don't stress if that's the case for you. All right, so that's the basics, making a pinch pot. Our next video, we will talk about how you can combine them together and how you can contort them and shape them into different forms.